Yo,
Yo,
how you doing?
oh man, I'm good. It's great that you could join me.
Thank you for inviting me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I actually just started recording as soon as you picked up. So we're
Oh,
recording now. I think I'm just gonna leave all this on it, just cause fuck it,
yeah, I feel you.
But yo, all right. So first of all, I got to do some introductions. This is Rtbth, also known as Real Talk Beyond the Headlines. Please go back, look at all the podcasts, check us out. But today is just me, Tunde. Normally we have the co-host Herschel here, but he's not with us. I do have Ari, who both Herschel and I know from college. Was good, Ari?
Yo, no Herschel. Where's he at?
Man, we're a multi-city podcast now, so sometimes we can't get both of the hosts together all the time, but we still try to come out with some fire hot takes.
Okay, I feel you. I'm like the king of hot takes. So,
Oh, perfect. But anyway, so I guess we could just do like a little bit of a recap. Both you and I went to Emory University, graduated 2012. We have,
yeah,
I guess, what we could call by now an annual Las Vegas birthday / March Madness celebration.
this is correct.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about that.
Mm. So, when was the first year that you came?
My first year was
I remember
2016.
2016. That's right. And we were staying at like next to the Bellagio at the Jockey Club. You were at that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, oh man, that was some crazy birthday stuff, man. We've been through a lot with those. Even though this year it wasn't for my birthday, this year was for EDC, which was kind of like right after, so I guess it counts.
For me, it's my annual Las Vegas / Los Angeles trip. I got to make one out to the West Coast each year.
It's true.
But so 2018, we did it. Same thing. We were at the Palazzo,
The
and
Plaza.
2018 was lit. I wasn't there for 2017, but 2018 was lit. And then
Yes.
this year we did Electronic Daisy Carnival 2019, and that was the most bonkers thing I've ever done in my life. Straight up.
That was I think that was for me too. Like just a 3 day span of like no sleep, of just like complete debauchery, like not giving, not caring what you were eating, just like existing for 3 whole days while trashing your body. That's what I mean by like
Right.
how crazy it was. I mean, for my birthday, the other times we've been to Vegas together, they were very similar, but that was only 2 days. You know what I mean? But
True.
3 days. Yeah, I have to say that was pretty wild.
Yeah. I will say though, it was probably the most fun thing I've ever done as far as like travel and music or some kind of festivity. But
Yes.
so I don't think we have to go into a full recap. Just for those who are not too familiar, it's just a music festival, an EDM music festival, but it's also a carnival. So it's just fun, and it's at night too. So it starts at I guess the first sets are going on at like 7 p.m. and you just go all night long, and it's just both Ari and I sort of came to this conclusion that it's just sensory overload.
Yes.
Sensory overload.
100% sensory overload. Because I told you when I started getting that like headache or whatever, and I had to literally go all the way to the entrance just to get some like, some fresh air, like no sound, just kind of like peace. Yeah, it's just like they have some, like if you look one way, there's something to entertain you. If you look all around you, there's just entertainment, and sometimes it can be a little bit much, right?
Oh man, it was intense, but I really like sort of that experience because so day one on Friday, both you and me, we got there early, like 5:30,
Right.
and we legit hopped in the car with the rest of our group at like 6 a.m. So we went a good 12 hours, 13 hours, and I'm like, yo, that was fun,
It was a lot of fun because it's like, because you're there just to like do literally whatever you want. So nobody's really gonna, you know what I mean, stop you. So it's just nice to, for 12 hours not really caring about, anything other than just like have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I loved about it, because
Yeah.
you just go hard, and after that you kind of just soak it in. Like you don't even really soak it in until after you leave.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work. Because after you leave, then everything calms down, and then you're just like, damn, I still have enough energy to kind of keep going.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but then it's like that builds up the excitement for the next day, for the next 12 hours that you're charging up, getting ready for things like that. Except for us, I guess our second day we were pretty beat. At least I was.
I was certainly a little down, but so for me that was like my first EDM concert for sure. And I've seen like a few EDM artists, in concert, but not like a full festival or anything. And I just have to say, man, I listened to a lot of good freaking music, man. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, really, because it opens yourself up to other genres. And what's good is that there's like the multiple stages. So, you know what I mean? If you're just wandering around, you can always go to another stage with a whole different genre and find a new artist that you like, which is pretty great about that festival. It caters to a lot of tastes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Skrillex, I know we departed, or we split, me and you, when we saw Skrillex, because you weren't trying to get deep into the jungle, and I was deep in the jungle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
no, Skrillex was crazy lit, man. So, and I'd never seen Skrillex. I know he's a huge EDM magnate, basically. So that was great.
Yeah, that's a once in a lifetime, kind of opportunity. Not a lot of people get to say they saw Skrillex, since he performs so like far and few in between. And I mean, it's also nostalgia. That dude's been probably like the biggest dubstep artist for the past, I don't know, probably like 7 years. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty legendary. Yeah, I wish I saw that with you guys, but it was just like that crowd was just so crazy.
Yeah, that's the main thing about EDC is like, so I looked up some numbers, and I know we had seen, when you and I were there and we were speaking with some of our group friends, that there was like 425,000 attendees. That's the cumulative number. So each day they added together. So it's more like 150,000
Yeah.
per day, maybe 125,000 per day. But I mean, still, that's a astronomical number of people in one venue, and you're trying to weave in and out of traffic with all of them, enjoy music. And if it's your
Right.
thing, do a couple of, fun things, if you know what I'm saying. And it's a lot. It's a lot. But I loved it.
Yeah, that's the size of a small country. So think about everybody from like, I don't know, like I said, a small country all in one area that's like maybe 7 miles. It's 5 miles maybe. I don't know, but all crammed in that one little spot. That's how crowded it was. It was pretty. Yeah, it's overwhelming. But I feel you. That definitely was fun. That was like, if you've never experienced that, it's a good thing to experience, because then you really learn how you are in crowds.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That is a huge thing. And I mean, quite frankly, I think in the EDM space, there's probably some encouragement of using some trippy drugs. And I'm just like, man, you can't just like show up and decide that you want to pop this or pop that when you're surrounded by 150,000 people, because you might lose your shit. And
Right.
fortunately, we didn't see that, but it's a possibility.
It's true. I mean, I've seen it at like smaller music festivals where people are just completely out of their minds, and it's like sometimes it's right when the music festival starts. There's just these people that are just like can't even open their eyes and are just like, you know what I mean, just totally in a state. And I'm just like, you can't if you can't be like this all the time. This isn't good. You know what I mean? But if that's what it takes to kind of ease the fact that there's a crowd of people around you from anxiety, I mean, I guess, but that's not healthy. That's for sure.
Yeah, everyone definitely has to approach this with common sense, but if you do it right, man, EDC is amazing, which is what happened for us. But I do want to say, last thing before we move on, like, I didn't realize this until the fireworks. I'll get your take on the fireworks, but basically what I saw was like I think it was like 10 minutes of just the sky turned on, like lights in the
Yeah.
sky. The fireworks show on the last night was just unbelievable. It was just like fireworks just
I know.
shooting off. And then it was in that moment I was like, could this be too much?
Ah, are you asking me that?
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember I was telling you throughout the festival, I was just like, this, there's so much here that takes away from the fact that there's music here that it's, I don't know, it is a little much. You know, the fireworks are good for like, oh, cool, fireworks for a minute, but then for 10 minutes, like, that's 10 minutes we could all be like getting down with somebody playing music, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's the same
exactly.
thing with like with the carnival rides and everything like that. It just distracts you from the fact that there's like, musical performances that don't come around every once in a while, and you're over here, riding on a Ferris wheel that takes 30 minutes to go all the way around. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a little bit much. I can see the appeal, but yeah, no, the fireworks were cool. I'm not gonna lie. Especially, I can only imagine if you were, one of those people tripping on some crazy drugs. Fireworks for 10 minutes must have been pretty spectacular.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I loved EDC, and I'm happy mostly because I got to see all the music. Didn't do any rides because I feel like that's a huge waste of time. But it is a carnival, so go out there, enjoy yourself, do some EDC. But so first of all, Ari, man, I was thinking lately, like at some point in my life, maybe it makes sense to move to the West Coast, and
Hmm.
specifically Los Angeles. Now, I haven't told the listeners yet, but you are born and raised in LA, came to Atlanta for college, Emory University, yay, and moved back to
Yeah.
LA. So, I mean, LA. I mean, I don't think I could tap anybody in my circle who could provide me with a perspective as well as you can. So, I figured we could record a podcast and just talk about life in LA, you know?
Yep, yep. For sure. I mean, it's funny because you say I'm like, I'm your go-to for things about LA, but even as somebody who's, I've lived here, in the LA area for most of my life, and the LA area, like the LA city proper, approximately like five. I can't tell you every corner of the city. That's how big this place really is. I know all, like, there's cool spots that I know exist, but these are like little dots in areas when it's like, there's spots like that from, the valley all the way down to like South LA and Long Beach. Like, there's all like dotted with just cool little spots, and I only know like a handful, which is what makes the city crazy. I think it's almost like New York, but it's more spread out.
Yeah, yeah, and I kind of that's kind of what I like about it. So I live in Boston now. Lived in DC for 1 year, and these cities are so small. Kind of like you can kind of get comfortable with a lot of good neighborhoods pretty quick, and have a lot of good spots, whether it's for food or socializing. But in Atlanta, and I kind of feel like maybe in LA too, like you really have to go out and explore the city, like really go see what the different corners are, get in your car, drive, and go see what it's like, which I kind of like. I think that's appealing about LA.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know about that from Atlanta because it's like if you go hang out in Buckhead, you're definitely gonna have a different experience than if you went and hung out in, South Atlanta, a little bit more, house parties and things like that. And I think that was what was cool about Atlanta. I was like, oh, this is very similar to LA in that it's not all, one flavor, anything like that. Depending on what you're looking for, you can go to any part of the city. And LA is very much like that, except it's a little bit more specific. It's so weird. I recently discovered, like, I haven't been and I don't plan on going, but there's like this whole like dark, like really dark clubs that are into like leather play and like weird, I don't like, what is it, BDSM kind of stuff. And that's in like a whole separate part of the city. And I just discovered, I was like, this is a place people can go. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
there's like a little niche for everybody to like, just find and hang out in. It's kind of crazy, which is why I think you would very much like LA because you'd be interested in trying to branch out of what you know. And there's a lot here that I don't know that I'd like
yeah.
to branch into.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome, man. So you're right. I would certainly want to kind of explore the different cultures, particularly artistic cultures. I'm a little bit attracted to the Hollywood lifestyle. I wouldn't mind running across a few celebrities every once in a while, but you've told me on many occasions that LA is just pure craziness. And kind of what spurred this podcast is you sent me something on Instagram about some guy who like barricaded himself in his house in San Gabriel. The
Yeah.
SWAT team had to deal with this suspect. I'm reading from this article, just trying to pull up some of the important details. The suspect fired multiple shots. There were fireworks. The highway had to get shut down. It sounded like a freaking just like shit show. And I'm like, you sent me that thing on Instagram, and you kind of like imply this is typical LA. So tell me about that LA.
So it's funny because, like you said, that story I sent it to you because it was crazy. I know it would be crazy in any other city, but here in LA, ridiculous stuff like that happens all the time, and it gets so crazy. Like, there's an Instagram page like solely focused on LA pursuits, and every single day there's something crazy where somebody's like, chasing everybody all around the city, get out of the car, jump on a roof. Like, that happens multiple times every single day. And so to us, it's kind of like we've grown a little numb to it. So, I mean, everybody can remember like the OJ case. That was a whole thing. That some stuff like that happens every day. If it's not a normal person doing something crazy, it's a celebrity that's out there wilding out somewhere in the public. So, you know,
That's
I
that's
mean,
a
there's a handful of stories I could tell you of just random crime around LA, and it sounds like, when they make that not the analogy, but when they talk about the Wild West,
right.
like, we still hold that title as the Wild West because stuff like that just happens every day.
Man, that is something. I mean, in some ways, California is its own nation. So LA within California is like its own little oasis. But you know what? Let's start off with just kind of like day-to-day life. Tell me what it's like going to work for you, because this is really important to me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna take my life out to Los Angeles, I gotta know what I'm getting into. So, I know traffic is a big thing. I know you kind of work close to work, so that's good. But, just your day-to-day kind of like lifestyle. And then when does it so happen that you might just come across, some sort of like old Chevy rolling down the highway trying to outrun the cops?
So, like, I guess for my, like, the way I commute, like you said, I work close to home, so I just have to, like, hop in my car. First of all, nobody takes public transportation here. I mean, they're trying to make it a big thing, but you have to have a car to live here, which is one thing to consider. If you were going to move here.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like actually driving. They just like, hopping on a bus, getting on and off. But anyways, I think it's 15 minutes on the streets there, and that's on 15 to 30 minutes. Sometimes, like, traffic on the streets gets crazy. And then same thing back. I have to drive through, like, Beverly Hills, like the fancy part that's always in all the movies, to get back home. And
Fun.
so that place gets pretty, like, congested on the way back. But how often I see stuff like that, I mean, sometimes I'll hear, like a helicopter overhead and be just like, oh, there's probably, a chase nearby or something like that. And then, you hear about it later on the news that, you were in the area, but, stuff like I said, stuff like that happens so often that you might be a part of it and not even know.
Wow. That is hilarious. All right. So, it sounds like when, on a day-to-day basis, you got your lifestyle, and this is for someone who's like been living in LA for a long time. Like, you got your lifestyle, you got your work plan, everything's good and smooth, but you might occasionally catch yourself in a high speed chase, which actually sounds very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you might see a car just like race right by you and you'd be like, that guy's going pretty fast. But, that's the thing that happens in LA. People just drive fast. And then you see like 5 squad cars behind him and then a helicopter, and you're like, oh, I guess he got caught going fast. So,
Yeah.
you see that a lot, to be honest. But the one thing that pisses, the one thing about it though is while it's exciting, pisses everybody else off because it means there's traffic.
Oh, jeez.
So you always have to think about when you hear these crazy stories, the context of like, okay, but how does that affect my commute?
Right. I'm pretty sure it just makes it go from horrible to treacherous, but hey.
That's true.
You know what? Still, I am not deterred. I'm loving what I hear. LA, could that be my future home? You know what? Ari, how about you tell me a little bit about the social culture in LA? How are people going out? Do people like to go out and get drinks? Or do they like to go out and get vegan smoothies or something? Like, what's that about?
So that's the thing too, is that like there's a little bit of all of that. Exactly. Like, whatever you think happens here, that definitely happens. Like you said, people want to go out and get their vegan stuff and eat, drink gluten-free wine and beer until they get, white girl wasted and they go home. Yeah, that's definitely a thing here that people do. So it's funny because I remember when I went to school in Atlanta, people would ask me like, "Oh, do you guys just surf and like smoke weed and then go out and party, every single day?" I'm like, "Well, I know people who do that, so technically yes, but you know what I mean? Like, we do fulfill all the stereotypes that people have about us living here in LA, but then there's so much more. Like, there's so much more beneath the surface of some of the the ones that get the most the worst rap, like the Kardashians or like things like that. There's way more culture to the city than meets the eye.
Yeah, that sounds great, honestly, because I think there's a lot to be gained from when a lot of different people congregate in the area, and LA certainly has like that attraction of kind of coming, like a lot of people move to LA. I think I heard, I'm going to butcher this quote, but I think it's like people move to LA to become, people move to New York to become someone new. People move to LA to become someone else. So,
right.
lots of culture, as you said. So let me ask you this then. Similar to how you're just kind of like commuting or going to work and you might just see some crazy shit, like in San Gabriel, as I mentioned earlier, a guy barricaded himself inside his house and set off some fireworks and eventually got killed by the police, but he was in a shootout with the police.
That was on camera. They showed him getting shot on camera.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. But, that's normal, I guess. The thing is, too, is that it's funny because just to throw it a little bit in there, as like a news station, you're not allowed to show like dead people or people getting shot on camera. But if you get to sneak that into a live shot, you get oh, that's the shot. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing that's the big no-no. But you get some sort of like notoriety because it's like we had that dude getting domed on film. That's something people won't forget. It's so weird and twisted about it. But
jeez, wait.
I forget I interrupted you while you were saying something though.
Yeah, it's cool. So basically they're not supposed to get the shot, but they get the shot so they can get some news ratings clout. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. So they get people talking. So if you watch Fox and they shoot the guy on Fox, but they don't shoot the guy on NBC, the guy on Fox is going to be like, I saw, that guy get shot straight, and that was Fox. And people are going to want to watch Fox more because that's the stuff people want to see more. Is like the there goes, there's the real action that technically you're not allowed to show, but it's the stuff people want to see. It's so twisted. Not that I want to see, somebody get shot on camera, but you know what I mean? It's just something. Some people want to see violence, and that's that sells ratings, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's the correct term, but
no, I feel you. I got what you're saying. I mean, basically, it's like, for me personally, I'm not gonna be looking for people like those shots of people getting shot, but next time I might tune into Fox. Let's just say that, But what I wanted to ask is like, so if you're just out, do you come across like some crazy nonsense too? Kind of like, how you might see like a high speed chase on the highway. Like when you're just out, maybe you go out for dinner or you actually go out for drinks and you want to party. Like, will you come across some interesting occurrences or occasions in LA?
I mean, more often than not, I feel like every time I do go out with my friends, there's always something crazy that, like, in the morning we'll wake up and just be like, do you remember that? And they'd be like, yeah, that was really, weird. I think there was one time in Hollywood, like, it's just like a normal Friday night, nothing really weird, like strange or out of the ordinary. But then, in the middle of the street, there's this guy just like tweaking out, and I just like vividly remember that and be like, like this is one of the most crowded spots in the city, and there's this dude just like tweaking out in the middle of the street, and I'm just like, that's weird, but you know what? That's not like the weirdest thing that's happened. So, and that's like one example. I've seen bum fights, I've seen like you said, chases. I've seen cops showing up and arresting people just like right around the corner. Like I'll walk away for a second, come back around. There'll be people on the ground, things like that. It's just like constant. Every single night, there's always something crazy.
Man, I don't know, cause I like me a little crazy, but if you're talking about every single night, I don't know.
Every single night you go out, you know what I mean? If you stay, if you stay in a nice quiet part of the city, like away from all that,
Yeah.
you won't be that kind of part. I mean, this happens most of the time in like Hollywood, downtown LA, where things are a little crazier. But if you live somewhere like the West Side, like Santa Monica, Venice area, or like Mid Wilshire area, things are a little bit more quiet over there. So it's like you can avoid all the riffraff. But just know that when you're going to these areas, it's constant nonsense.
Oh man. Wow. Well, I like me a little riffraff, but I also want some calm quiet. So to wrap up real quick, I just want to say I actually just thought of a moment when I was in Miami, which, Miami and LA share similar vibes, you would think, right? Maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I love Miami.
Yeah.
Because it's like LA, so.
Yeah, so me and the people I was with, we were parking the car in a parking deck, and like I think around when we turned the corner to go where the parking deck was to go on that street, we heard like a loud gunshot, like pow, and then next thing you know, we're coming out of the parking deck and there's an ambulance and someone getting like stretched into the ambulance, and that person was dead, straight up dead. And I'm just like we just almost witnessed and we heard someone get popped in the head,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck was that? I feel like LA kind of maybe has similar instances.
It does, and you want to know, to me, I think it's because both Miami and LA are big drug areas. You know what I mean? They're like, so where there's drugs, there's gonna be crazy stuff like that happening. It's where like most of the action for that kind of stuff is. Like there's and the thing is you don't know anything about this beef. There could be like layers on that story of the guy that you heard got shot that you like didn't even know. Like I don't know, that's in like a whole different part of the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you were just there visiting and just being like, you only caught it at the surface level. There's so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All the drama that goes basically beneath the actual, situation. But, well, that was a lot of good information, Ari. Basically, what I'm hearing, I feel like you're telling me LA and I guess Miami too, the thing that kind of sets these cities apart is the access to drugs. And, I certainly encourage all Real Talk Beyond the Headlines listeners to stay away from drugs. Okay?
Yes.
Unless
Dare. Remember Dare.
Yes. Except cannabis, because cannabis is wonderful. But anyway, so is that something that's true? Is like, is the drug culture pretty prevalent in LA?
Cocaine is basically currency.
Wow.
Here. It's so weird because I remember there's been, more than a handful of times where, I've been out and there's been somebody like, hey, do you want some blow? And maybe I'm just like, why? Why? Like, we're not, this is not the setting to like be doing that. Or, I'll definitely see somebody with it, like, who doesn't interact with me, but I'll see it in the corner and just being like, oh, damn. So, that and, it's just, whenever I hear stories about other cities too, sometimes I'll be on Reddit and every once in a while people will be like, oh, it's dry over here in, Utah or whatever, where can I score some, whatever they're looking for. And then me over here being in LA, being just like, well, I mean, half the people I know are, acquainted with are somehow dealers or connected with somebody. So, the thing is too, is that there's no shortage here of like access to drugs. If people can like that's the dangerous thing here too, is that it can spiral out of control pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's probably why there's so many people on Skid Row. So if you have an addictive personality, like, you got to kind of ease into it. Otherwise, if you just go in and be like, I'm gonna get the 100% LA experience, like, it might be too much for some people.
Ah, okay. That is what I was looking to hear. Okay. Well, honestly, Ari, I think that I would love living in LA.
You would. It's not real life. You could literally just, like, go out, like, on a day off, or the minute you get off work, just go to the beach, fall asleep, get high, wake up, go home, have a beer.
That sounds awesome.
Very relaxing here.
Yeah. And if it so happens in my career that I end up in LA, and I got to make my annual trip, whether it's LA or Las Vegas, but if I move out, man, I think it would be a great home for me. But I'm also hearing it's kind of similar to EDC in the sense that, you really got to come prepared. You can't just come and assume that you're just going to have a good time and that you want to just take in the whole experience, because it could overwhelm you.
Yes, 100%. It can overwhelm everybody. From the amount of people, the amount of traffic, the amount of access to drugs, the amount of just, like, every single night in LA, there is something to go do. Like, there's some event to go and, like, get drinks at with a bunch of other people. There's never, like, a slow day here. And so if you're somebody who, maybe, you had a quiet upbringing, things like that, you didn't really go out much, then when you get here in your adult life, you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff I haven't tried before. People can get distracted very easily from, the end goal, which happens a lot. That's, like I said, it's always the risk of coming here. So it's, you have to come mentally prepared to deal with, a lot of people, a lot of just, like, everything. Again, like you said, just like EDC, overstimulation, almost.
Yeah.
You have to force yourself to be a hermit to like, avoid all the debauchery that's going out in the streets. Like, right now, it's a random Sunday here in, what is it, June? This weekend is, like, the big Pride Parade, and that's where everybody's going to do right now. But it's like, tomorrow we all have work. Like,
yeah.
Like, the logical thing would be to, not go ham tonight and make it to work tomorrow. But it's like, the rules are different here in LA. You can go out on a Tuesday and be fine to get into work Wednesday. Or at least we've normalized it. So
it's been normalized. Yeah, that probably sounds a little bit more accurate, man. But Ari, I appreciate you, walking me through the LA life. I would certainly keep you updated when I'm making the next trip. It could be this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm already missing LA. I'm missing Vegas a lot too. So, appreciate you getting on the podcast. This is Real Talk Beyond the Headlines, also known as #RTBTH. Thank you for listening. RTBTH. And yo. Yeah. Yo. Yeah. Yo. All right.
Thank you, Tunde.
Out.